All right, Scream has entered the contest. Let's discuss. So, Scream enters the contest. He has Hybrid buff, Auto Block, Energize, Vicious buffs. He has tons and tons of buffs, and she has really great utility. I was really impressed by, her playstyle, but we'll get into that. Let's discuss her combo first. What is her combo like? Her combo is actually not that bad. When I was playing her, she didn't feel clunky to play. She wasn't really AI dependent. You can just play her regularly, in my opinion. There was a particular way to play her to get, max damage, and I do have a short on that, so make sure y'all watch that. But yeah, she was really easy to play. Like, I had a bunch of fun, like offensively, amazing. Like, in that SP2 she has, if you like do her correct rotation, the damage can be legit insane. And look at all those buffs she has. She has tons and tons of buffs, and they're really easy to gain. There's no trick or anything. You can just gain them by throwing heavies or throwing specials, but we'll get into all of that. We will. First up, let's discuss her strengths. What are her strengths? Buff versatility. Scream can gain a lot of unique buffs, making her quite friendly to content that challenges or scales with unique buff count. Not to mention all the effects and utility granted by them. And like I said before, she has really great utility, and her buffs are really easy to get and maintain. I had no problems doing that. Also, she's resilient. After consuming a Madness passive, Scream gains the ability to auto-block basic attacks for 5 seconds, providing a potent layer of security. Couple this with her Hybrid buff and the regeneration buff, unlocking her special ability to further emphasize her sturdiness. So yes, she's very durable offensively, and she's just really resilient. Like, you can heal back a lot of the damage you have taken just by, having her awaken. Also, armor denial. Opponents of Scream will suffer frequent armor breaks, doubly so if they happen to be bleed immune. When Scream's signature ability, tech attempts also suffer significantly reduced ability accuracy to their armor up effect. So if the opponent managed to gain an armor up effect, they won't have it for long. Yes, she nullifies and armor breaks a lot, but she does have weaknesses. One of her weaknesses is bleed and armor break immunities. Scream has a chance to inflict a bleed and armor break on all hits. If the opponent is immune to one of these effects, he will inflict 2 armor breaks instead. Similarly, if the opponent is immune to one of the armor breaks, they will suffer their original bleed. But if the opponent is immune to both effects, her damage output is severely impaired. So unfortunately, she is really reliant on those debuffs to really take advantage of her damage. So keep that in mind. Also, buff removal effects. Like most symbiotes, Scream's damage, survivability, and utility increase significantly as her buffs come online. Preventing her from gaining her buffs will keep fights with her manageable. Specifically, removing her buffs will nullify also cause her to lose her madness resource and slowing her ramp. So keep that in mind. She's really depending on her buffs, and if you can nullify them or steal them, she's kind of useless. Also, power control. Scream's damage output increases significantly with her favorite buffs gained with the special one, and her potent SP2 is a cash out to her loop. If you can deny these special attacks with power control tactics, you will slow her down. So yeah, power control basically will keep her in check. Next, let's talk about her immunities. Unfortunately, she doesn't have immunities.
Oh, come on!
Next, let's talk about her Awaken ability. What is her Awaken ability? Now, her Awaken ability for me, I did like it, and I didn't think she needed to be awakened. When she's awakened, when her madness is consumed by a Scream, 75% chance to gain a regeneration buff, healing 3% of missing health over 5 seconds. Against Spider-Verse heroes, each stack of madness reduces her opponent's evade ability accuracy by 25%. Against Symbiote, when gaining madness, each stack of madness grants a 25% chance to gain 1 extra madness. And against Tech, each stack of madness reduces the opponent's armor up ability accuracy by 25%. So again, I didn't think she needed to be awakened, but when she's awakened, that's even more utility. And her prestige is 18,250, so she actually has quite decent prestige for a 6-star 6,200. What is she like on defense? Now, I won't lie, on defense, she's kind of a liability. She's easily counted. She has no immunities. You can outrange her SP1. You can also dodge her SP2. It wasn't difficult for me. You just gotta get used to it because, she's a U champion, so she has new animations. But once you get used to it, you'll see that on defense, she's not a problem. And if you stack enough buffs, with Ronin, you may be able to stun lock her. I wasn't able to do it here, but again, if there ever is a war boss where they gain placebo buffs or something like that, you're going to be able to easily stun lock her with no problem. And since if she's awakened, you can always reverse her healing with a champion like Void. So yeah, she's not going to be a tough defender at all, in my opinion. I think she's going to be relatively easy, and people probably will only use her offensively, and I don't think hardly anyone will place her on defense. For stat focus, I thought the best ones for her were special damage on offense, because she's really reliant on her debuffs, and with that SP2, increasing her special attack damage will only help. And the same thing for defense. Since she's kind of a liability on defense, you might want to put that special damage on her just so you have more damage, potential damage for her anyway. Also, the relic I found best for her was the Venom. Scream is an excellent candidate for this relic with the bleed vulnerabilities, bleed potency, and the effects that scale up with a unique buff count. Keep in mind that the effects that extend the duration of her bleeds will not extend her armor break debuff. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Next up, what are the masteries for her? I found 4 masteries she was good for. First off, parry. The parry mastery adds a lot of threat to Scream's auto block, creating an interesting way to extend combos by charging her heavy and preventing her special attacks from being punished. Also, deep wounds, because you have a chance to do bleeds on every hit. Inequity, Scream inflicts a great deal of bleed and armor break debuffs, meaning her opponent will frequently suffer the full attack rating reduction of this mastery. And Despair, because you can, with Despair, as mentioned previously, Scream inflicts a great deal of bleed and armor breaks, so opponent will also suffer the full regeneration rate reduction of this mastery. Unfortunately, she's not good for the damage masteries, but I don't think it'll be a bad thing to use them, because she's going to regenerate, but she's kind of relying on throwing her SP2. That's where most of her damage is done, especially if you ramp her right. So I don't think she would be good, but I wouldn't be surprised if people try her with the damage masteries and see what you can do. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend using the damage mastery for her. This parry, deep wounds, inequity, and despair are the best ones for her, and you should be good from there. So at the end of the day, what are my overall thoughts on her? Well, offensively, I like her. I think she's easy to play. She has really great utility. I think she's fine on Awaken, but don't get me wrong, with that Awaken ability, that's even more utility. And she has really great damage. But she does have some cons, like every champion in this game. I think she's a bad defender. I don't think she's going to help you on Battlegrounds defense at all, or in war defense at all. And I think she's also debuff reliant. If the champion's bleed immune and poison, bleed immune and armor break immune, she's kind of a liability. But there aren't many champions who are bleed and armor break immune, so none that I can think of. I know Destroyer is, but not many others. Leave a comment below if there are others. Also, another counter, she's part of the Cosmic class, but she doesn't really have immunities. And I'm not saying all Cosmic champions have immunities, but a lot of them have like at least poison immune, but she has nothing, so keep that in mind. And she's really easily countered. Like, almost any champion in the Mystic class will counter her, and that also speaks to her being a really bad defender. Doesn't mean her cons outweigh her pros. I think offensively we needed a champ like this, especially in Battlegrounds, because lately we've been getting a lot of defensive heavy champions, and with her we got an offensive heavy champion, which can be really beneficial. So overall, I think she's a really solid champion, and if I were to pull her as a 6 or a 7-star, I would definitely awaken her. I would definitely rank her up. As a 6-star, I probably would awaken her and put 6 into her, but I've been focused more so on 7 stars as of lately, so I would definitely want the 7-star version, definitely. But I think she's a solid champion, and I think she's going to do well in the contest, especially in Battlegrounds. So, but overall, I think she's a solid champion, so leave a comment below if you think otherwise. But other than that, if you did like this video, please hit that like button, and for anyone new here, you can hit that sub button. Y'all take care. Have a great and wonderful day.